Hey everybody, it's Dr. Ruan, and I'm really excited to shoot this video with Mr. Jonas Crafts.
Amen, brother.
Yeah, and so I want to let Jonas introduce himself a little bit, just what he's been through in his life, and we're going to shed light on a little bit of a controversial topic, but it's something that we just found out like 20 minutes ago that Jonas is experiencing. So I'm gonna let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, so hey everyone, Coach Crafts here. Dr. Ruan and I have been knowing each other for about 6 months now. We've been collaborating on a lot of things. He said, hey, I got a lot of stuff that we can test on. And I said, well, I know we're going through the class action lawsuit with the NFL right now for our brains, right? For CTE, and for those of y'all that don't know what it stands for, it's Chronic Traumatic Encephalopathy. Meaning you're chronically banging your head. And so that happened in football. Every time you see football players go out and practice, every time you see them hitting games, we're constantly banging our heads. And it hit near and dear to me because of my dad. My dad 6 years ago had CTE and he just fell off the wheels. It was one of the scariest things that I've seen. My mom calls me at 6 in the morning crying, saying, get out of the house. Your dad told me to get out of the house because he's gonna hurt me.
Wow.
And that was one of the things that I wasn't ready for. I didn't know what was happening. And as we took him in to the doctors, they said, no, he has CTE, vascular dementia, everything. The brain's dead. And seeing that and hearing that and understanding what we're going through with this and this dilemma, it really kind of scared me, but it said, do I want to get it checked? And I was kind of one of those that, it's not me. And I think we all kind of think that, it's not me. And I was like, so I'm not going to get it checked. It wasn't until I met you and you and I had a mutual trust and understanding and I really fell in love with how you practice medicine. And I said, okay, I'm in to come check this thing out. And so we did it today, and that's what we're gonna kind of talk about. He said, stay off of hemp. I wanna measure you without hemp, and then we're gonna measure you with hemp. And so, yeah. From there.
Yeah, so Jonas has been on hemp oil, which has really helped him a lot, I guess over the last 1.5 years, 2 years.
So I will talk about that because I've owned my business, my medical clinic for the last 6 years. For those first 4 years, I didn't like how I was acting, and seeing some of these, what we just saw in these results, proves why. Like I'd go out drinking and I'd hate myself, I'd hate the people around me, and not knowing what alcohol was doing on all the damaging side effects, I didn't really like it, but I didn't know it. Guys, I've been successful, I have a lot of things in life, but I remember sitting in my condo on the floor. My condo overlooks San Antonio. I have all the cars, the watches, you name it. But as I was sitting on that floor, I'm overlooking the city, and I just said, why the hell do I even live here? Why do I have this? What the heck? I hated myself. And it was something here. I had all the nice things. Like, you would look at my life from a third-party perspective and say, come on, how would you even feel like that? And it wasn't until I got our hemp oil in my body, and that's where I tell people all the time, I'm like, look, this really changed for me. And some people would look at me and say, yeah, okay, maybe you, maybe not. And they'd kind of give me that, prove it, and I've never had to prove it. I said, well, here's what happened to my dad, and here's what I see for me, guys, from 16 years of chronically banging my head in football, and I was a dick. Now I'm nice, and I'm open, I'm loving. I never wanted to be on my website. For my business, I always wanted to be hidden. I wanted to be in my cubbyhole because I didn't know what it was like to be out there. And it's like I always retreated as opposed to expanded. And it wasn't until I got the hemp in my body, that's when I was like, dude, something is completely different. This is what I try and tell everybody. And it wasn't until literally today, like Doc said, 20 minutes ago, I did 2 tests, and he'll go to these, one without it, then we took some hemp, and then about an hour later, one with it, so.
Yeah, so it's fascinating to see because we evaluate a lot of people in this clinic for traumatic brain injury and CTE, whether it's veterans or athletes and stuff like that. And I'm gonna throw out girls soccer too, because girls soccer is way up
beasts,
way up there in concussions. And I don't know why specifically girls soccer is, but women are very strong. When they go for the goal, they get it right. And so we evaluate these athletes and these military veterans, and we see particular patterns on testing. So the test I'm talking about is something called Evoke. It's kind of like a EEG scan, looking at brainwave patterns under different stimulus. So there's visual stimulus, there's auditory stimulus, And there's the EEG leads on the head that Jonas had all over. And this is actually not hair gel. This is our gel for the EEG leads that's in his hair.
So my hair looks a little different today.
Yeah. And so, and we're able to see how his brain responds to certain stimuli that's on the test. And so there's different patterns that we see for brain injury and previous concussions and stuff like that. And Jonas had a very typical pattern of someone who's had major traumatic brain injury in the past. We are able to see different areas light up with a blue shade, which means that his brain is really underpowered in different specific regions. And we're able to see that even alcohol actually can affect certain portions of the brain. And so once we're able to see this, and then he actually took the hemp oil and we did one after, I would say about 85% of those regions that are really damaged, it somehow appeared as if he hasn't had damage at all. So that's fascinating. I've never seen that before. I was excited to see it. Jonas, I'm sure you're excited to see it as well.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying that hemp oil regenerates brain, which it may. What I'm saying is that the brain somehow, the neurotransmitters and the activity that it exhibits is changed with hemp oil, these cannabidiols, right? And that becomes a fascinating thing because, up until maybe 2012, we really didn't know that a lot of brain can grow back with lifestyle modifications, even for our dementia patients and stuff like that. But they saw it in animal models and they saw it in human models. And so now we're in the era, we're in 2018 right now, we're in the era of regenerative medicine, and that's exactly what we really want. We want to see how we can improve people's quality of lives. And Jonas is a great example. And even besides hemp oil, there's a lot of things that have changed about him. He stopped drinking alcohol. He stopped. He starts taking omega-3s. Omega-3s are really important for brain function. There's stuff like phosphatidylcholine. There's a lot of other stuff that are in there that can be beneficial. That we now know as sort of a baseline of mental health. But even at higher doses has been shown to be very helpful as well. And so, this kind of proves to us that, you don't have to be a football player to be knocked in the head a few times. I did snowboarding and I had several really bad concussions, but my last concussion was during my intern year in residency when I went snowboarding, and we were going down the mountain, and my buddy, who's an ER doctor, found me at the bottom of a hill, just kind of lifeless, and there's a trail of blood behind me. And so I lost about 3 days of my memory at that time, and things really haven't been the same since that time. There was, you would get emotional, I would vomit for no reason for about a year. I had vertigo, and all these things are on the scans that I actually see for myself. And so, but it's fascinating that we live in a world now where we're able to have the technology to look at this with the Evoke machine from Evoke Neuroscience is the company, and we're able to see the effects of really cool stuff like hemp oil, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe some other things. We'll probably try this with phosphatidylcholine and omega-3s to see what other effects we can get. But we live in a world where we have so much to empower ourselves.
Yes.
And I feel bad for a lot of people who seek out help, but the only thing that they feel better with is some sort of controlled substance or alcohol, right? And we're able to see from the scan that alcohol was not good for your brain.
Opposite.
The opposite. And in fact, or even controlled substances will be really bad for your brain. Muscle relaxants, which are not controlled substances, will be terrible for your brain as well. And so it gives us a guideline of how you should really be living for the rest of your life. So that's kind of cool. Yeah.
It is cool because it's something that you can't see until you get it tested. And so, Doc, I just want to say thank you because that's really why I came here. Here's how I feel, but I'm a big believer. If you can't really test it, is it really science? That's why you see me do a lot of tests with our hemp oil and the bioavailability, but now I get to see it on myself, and to see it in my brain. And that just says, you know what? I don't want to go down the same path my dad did. Because like you said, where we're at right now in 2018 with regenerative medicine, and if we can stop it now, or even that we can consider preventative medicine before it gets to that realm. And that's where I think we're at now, and that's what really excites the hell out of me.
Yeah.
That's the exciting part.
It's super exciting. You know, we're just getting started too. That's the even more exciting part. You know, we're probably gonna do this on a few more people, you know. But you're the perfect example because you were in the NFL, and even before that, you probably have multiple concussions and hits, just like I did, you know, back in the day. And then of course helping our veteran population, military veterans, especially those coming back with PTSD, for example. It's one of our main populations, and a lot of the stuff can really help that's out there. So, but I just want to conclude by saying thank you, Jonas, for coming by, and we had a really interesting experiment that turned out really well and very fascinating. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who are going to comment below, and a lot of people who are going to have a lot of things to say, and we'll try to address as much as we can. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Coach Craft's Crew, literally this time, get your mind right. I need to do this because I have to get my mind right. And thankfully, because of the hemp oil, I've got my mind right. Doc, thank you so much. For all y'all out there, yes, ask questions. Let's get this out there because I want this to educate you and maybe help this product get into somebody else's hands. Maybe help this testing, help Doc get into somebody else's iPhones. That way they can call him, so that way they can get help, right? It's about us educating each other. So thank y'all so much. Coach Crafts, get your mind right.